This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here with Jack Weaver, who's joining us all the way from Marlborough, New Zealand, from Churton. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I am fantastic, and didn't see you at the New Zealand show, but very happy to be tasting wines with you today.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure.
Now, your family have been making wines in Marlborough since the late 90s, right?
97.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you fall into doing the wine stuff yourself?
Apart from being born into it, I guess I've been exposed to it a lot. It's always been a job that I've been able to do once, in and out of travelling. But I guess I've really fell in love with what Mum and Dad have done, and it's something that, I guess as I get more exposed to it, I realise what sort of opportunity we've got. When I probably didn't realise how interested I was in the wine industry until I worked in another winery. So actually going overseas and experience other people's sort of passion for wine made me realise what sort of, how we had it and I guess how lucky I was to be in the position that we are.
Now, right now you take care of the sales side of things, but you've actually had your hand in all aspects of the winemaking with your family.
Yeah, well, I guess sort of growing through it naturally, I started in the vineyard and then I've done a bit of winemaking, and now I'm sort of concentrated on sales. But I guess for a small winery like ours, a small family winery like ours, it's important to be able to do everything. We're not really, yeah, exactly. So I mean, Ben and I, my older brother, is still involved in a lot of the decision making through in the winery and in the vineyard. So although I'm primarily in sales, I guess I still get my hands dirty and do other things too, which is, I guess, why I really like it. How diverse it is to be over here with you guys, and also to be in the vineyard or in the winery. It's just different every day.
What would you say differentiates Churton from the vast wave of Sauvignon Blanc that we see in many of the markets today?
I guess it would definitely be the way the vineyard's been planted. So for us, site's very important. They're very much terroir driven wines.
And less so clones and the like, it's more site specific.
Yeah, more site specific. Yeah. I guess in terms of the site and the way we've set up the vineyard's more European in terms of its planting. It's also probably one of the first on the hills in Marlborough. So that really produces a different style of Sauvignon. Giving it respect and treating it with smaller crops and getting more sort of consistent ripening to it just brings out a different flavour profile and can stay away from some of those negative characteristics.
And up in the hills there, you're talking about soils that have a lot higher clay content, right?
Yeah, so I guess the two main things about being on the hills is we're less fertile, which means we've got smaller vigour, which naturally brings down our crop level. But it also has quite high clay content, which allows us to retain more sort of water in the soils, which allows our high density planting with the competition of roots to sort of grow reasonably deep and find that water and the clay content there and be reasonably sufficient without irrigation.
Although your wines are based on what's coming from the vineyard, obviously, what kind of, when it comes to Sauvignon, what are you doing in the winery that makes your wine so special? Because I noticed today there was this is coming from the vineyard, but that was some serious acidity you had on that.
Well, I guess that I hate to say it, but reflects the vineyard itself again. Mm-hmm. We don't do it. There's no added acidity. I guess the variety, what we've noticed is our wines are slightly getting older as well. Our pH levels are dropping and becoming more stable. So to answer your question, in terms of acidity, we're not doing a lot in the winery. We're doing nothing really, but we do. We have a sort of element of oak in our Sauvignon, but very little, and usually just neutral oak.
And what kind of percentage?
It'd be 15% in the estate, and our single block would be up to 100%. Yeah.
So you said it's older oak, you're just looking for that kind of micro oxygenation.
I guess it's more of a backbone to the wine, and it just sort of pulls it along. It's again, because of the concentration of fruit we have, it doesn't tend to be too overt, and that sort of comes across in the wine itself.
For many people, the kind of lees contact thing is becoming a bit of a contentious issue. Where do you sit with regards to that?
Well, I mean, we leave our wine on lees for sort of 9 to 12 months.
Okay.
Again, that's sort of for added texture. You know, and good vintages, but you know, we've been organic since 2008. We've really noticed sort of clean lees, and so therefore it's not jeopardizing the wine, but it is coming across in the texture that we get. So we do it to some extent, and you know, we see it as a benefit.
You also make some quite stunning Pinot. I really enjoyed that Pinot today. We're tasting on if you're following the Biodynamic calendar, a fruit day. But the fruit was tremendous on those wines. But they're also very, very savoury wines. And I've tasted I will go as far as saying the Pinot Noirs I've tasted from Marlborough that I've really enjoyed have been few and far between, but that was very good today.
I hate to do this, but going back to cider, it's very much where the Pinot's grown. So we've got all our Pinot blocks are eastern facing, so we get lovely morning sun, and we avoid the sort of hot, dehydrating afternoons. And what that actually does is it gives us a slower, more consistent ripening period, which allows us to stay away from those, sort of fruit-driven Pinots. Also, we've been able to get it so that we can ripen our seeds and get really lignified seeds, which comes across in the tannin structure as well, which is very different from some of those Pinots on the valley floor.
You also plant Viognier. Now, Viognier is a grape that I think it's like almost like coriander, cilantro for some people.
Right.
Like you love it or you hate it.
Hate it, yeah.
But I find it fascinating how you had managed to capture the Viognier's personality without having that flabbiness. And I was amazed, absolutely amazed at the natural acidity on that. How the hell do you do that?
Well, I guess it's a variety that, you know, it can have no real flavour and a lot of acidity, and then within a day it can get that flavour and the acidity will fall off. So we're really precise with, you know, the picking. I guess in Marlborough as well, we can get really warm days and cool nights, so we get that ripeness, but we also retain that acidity, which comes across in the wine. That's
a well-crafted wine. Well done on that one. And finally, Petit Manseng, which is not a grape that everybody knows, but one that I've always found quite fascinating. And you make it in a sweeter style. It's about 70 grams of residual sugar you have on that?
Vintage dependent. Yeah, the 15 that we just drank was 69 grams.
Right.
But then again, its pH is around sort of 2.9. So it's very much about that sort of acidity balance and keeping that sort of freshness there along with the sugar levels.
Well, it's lovely on the nose. You get that kind of barley sugar thing going on, but with that amazing floral freshness that was coming through. Really interesting wine. And actually, two of your wines today made me wish I was still back in the business of matching wines to menus, because, wow, they were really impressive.
Yeah.
Jack, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye for now.
Cheers.